Okay, Farah, thank you for joining us in this podcast called Brain in You. I have a set of very exciting, pointed questions for you, which I know the parents would love to hear answers of. And most of these questions are from Brain Gym perspective, because I know you're an expert in that, which relate to the common concerns that the parent faces with the child, whether it is focus or hyperactivity or aggression. So before we start, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you so much, Vandita, first of all, to have me here. I'm so super excited. There is so much to talk about Braingym, but before we get to Braingym, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Farah Danish. I'm based out of UAE, mother of 4 kids. My oldest son is the reason why I do what I do. He is on the spectrum. He's just turned 17. And I think as a person, more than a mother, I think I've grown as a person just by being a mother to him. And I
Mm,
studied and studied, and I'm still studying. I did
mm,
my special educator diploma.
mm,
I did my Braingym movement facilitator course. I'm almost going to be an instructor very soon.
mm.
And yeah, I mean, you name it, everything that I needed to study to be
Yeah.
there for him, I became that person because I couldn't sustain the cost of therapy. Like I've got 4 kids. So, I had to take it all on myself. So yeah, that's what my journey's been like. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. And I think 17, if your son is turning 17 now, um, 15 years ago or 14 years ago when he must have been diagnosed, there wasn't much, right?
Actually, I'm also a sibling to an autistic individual. So always comparing it to that time. So that was like
Mm,
90s. So I'm comparing it to that. There was nothing back then. At least, 14 years ago, we had a few centers over here in Dubai, like you
okay.
could count them on your fingers, but they were very expensive again
Okay. Okay.
and very little information.
Yeah.
And as a parent, I knew what growing up with autism is like. So when you'd have
Mm,
specialists and pediatric pediatricians tell you, "Oh, it's okay. He just has this problem." This I'm like, no, I know where this is going to go.
yeah. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my brother's an adult now, so I know where this is going to go. So I in a way I knew more than them, and that was
Yeah.
in a way frustrating because nobody there to tell me, okay, this wasn't available then, but this is available now. So it was
Yeah.
frustrating not having that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a blessing in disguise. You were
Sorry?
prepared. A blessing in disguise. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it at 9 months. I could see the signs at 9 months,
Is
the
it?
regression. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, see it then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Regression is so real. Yeah, it's a lot of parents. They don't really understand it. That he was just okay till yesterday, and what happened?
Yeah. He would say mommy till 9 months, and after that, at 10th month, it stopped.
Mm.
He would communicate in the sense that he would understand
Mm.
like 20 different types of animals, but
Mm.
he can't tell me he wants milk.
Mm.
You know, what is
Mm.
20 kind of animals? Like he should be able to communicate. It should be more need based, right? So like
Mm.
that's not normal. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so starting with brain gym. Now, in my mind, to regulate a child and to say, you have to do this now, or let's just do this exercise now. So tell
Yeah.
me that how do you make the child comfortable and reduce resistance when you have to start trying brain gym?
Okay, brain gym, there's this misconception, by the way, Vandita. People think that brain gym is all about pulling the child in and say, let's move it, let's move to these exercises. We have to stimulate our brain. To a certain extent, yes, that is there, but to get a child to a stage where he can participate, that's a very important word, to participate. Because if he's learning, or when you want someone to learn, you want them to participate in the learning experience. You don't want them to be a passive person just sitting there and you're telling them what should be going in their head, what they should be learning.
Mm.
To get
Mm.
that participation, there are some simple things that you have to do prior to doing brain gym with them. And that's something that I learned from movement-based learning. It's something like it's a prerequisite to brain gym. And in that, it's literally about massaging certain points and simple
Okay.
passive movements where the child really feels that it's calm for the child.
Okay.
It's not very vigorous. It's just
Okay.
calming. It's soothing, touching the right points
Okay.
in the body, which stimulates the body, making the child aware of their own bodies because there is a disconnect. They don't know, they're not comfortable in their own bodies. So first
Yeah.
you're bringing connection. Once you develop that connection, then you talk about, let's do some vigorous brain
Okay.
gym exercise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a lot of parents that Ayurved works with, they worry about speech delays in their autistic children. So, how can brain gym techniques help improve speech development?
Okay, that realization hit me very late. I remember when Suleiman was about 10 years old. Okay, his speech was in sense of one word speech,
Hmm.
no proper sentences. And he started, and by the way, he was a GLP, a Gestalt language processor, which again, a terminology, I had no idea what that was. It's
Yeah.
literally just for your audience to understand. GLPs acquire language very, very differently to how regular neurotypicals acquire language. So he would say phrases and script and echolalia, like, he would listen to something on TV and he would script.
Repeat.
But that wasn't contextual. It
Yeah.
it wasn't, yeah. So it didn't matter if he could say that. It wasn't for me speech. But with movement, what I noticed was like in the pool, we'd be in the pool, we'd be swimming, and if there was something that he didn't like or he liked more of, he was actually saying words properly. He was joining words together and saying proper speech, and that's when it clicked. And I'm like, you know what? I think I should explore this. And that's what led me to learning about Brain Gym. I fumbled upon Brain Gym. After doing Brain Gym, more than speech, Vandita, in my personal experience, I have seen more focus, more grounded, and ready to learn. So if I'm doing any speech-based activity with him, he's picking it up. He's in a ready state to pick it up. Yeah.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah.
Sensory overload is again something that we hear often that parents complain about behavioral challenges in children. So, does brain gym help regulate sensory responses and create a calmer learning environment?
Oh, absolutely. And the best way to do that is to do it with the child, not just because a lot of us mothers say that I'm an autism coach, right? So mothers like, oh, they don't exercise. I'm like, do you exercise?
Mm,
And they'll be like, quiet, absolutely quiet. I'm like, how can you sit back and tell your child, okay, now I want you to jump 20 times while you're sitting and watching them? It's
mm,
it
mm,
has to be done together. You
mm,
want this to be a co-regulating experience.
mm.
And any learning, Vandita, is all about shared experiences, right? With a teacher, with a caretaker, whatever it is, it has to be shared experience. Like 95% of our learning occurs through all these direct, intimate, sensory, motor experiences with the environment. And if you are not allowing the child to experience that,
Yeah.
it's very difficult for that
Mm,
for your child to learn anything from you. If he doesn't
mm,
trust you, if he doesn't feel connected to you, they're not going
mm,
to learn anything from
mm. Okay. You touched upon focus and learning a while back. Is there,
you. Hmm.
can you maybe share the best brain gym exercise or
Okay.
technique that a parent can do to enhance focus and learning?
Okay, two most favorite. My personal favorite, which I've seen really work with most kids, one is the cross crawl. And the cross crawl really is, I can stand and show this to you. And because there's so many variations to this, so parents are like, oh my God, that looks easy. But you start off with making a child lie down and do this, but I'll show the stand-up version, obviously. Okay, so it's literally having the right side of your body connect to the left side.
Mm,
Okay, it's simple. I'm doing a really, really simplified version because most kids can't do this. Just
yeah.
getting them to, and then you further develop
Mm,
it to,
mm,
getting the elbows to touch, and
mm,
you do it as slowly as possible. So your core has to be really stable for you to be able to do that,
mm.
which is also
Yeah.
very important when children are sitting to learn. Their core has to be strong, their trunk. And when that's not strong, that has an effect even on your vision.
Okay.
It does. And you will notice that most kids, most special needs kids, they can't read properly. the few who can read, they cannot read properly. And you'll notice that their eyes are not teaming. They're not working together. So they're always looking all over the place, if you notice. And you can say so much about a child, just, or anyone, not even a child. You can say so much about anyone just by the way they move their eyes. Like
Okay,
right
okay.
now, even,
So Farah,
yeah,
go deeper in this and tell me, how is core of any neurodiverse child or core in autism linked to vision?
how is core linked to vision?
Core
Well,
linked to vision. Yeah.
okay. When I talk about core, for me, my understanding is that it's all got to do with your spine. Okay, how your spine can hold you up. Now your spine is connected to your brain, and then that, the base of your head, that's where
The
your
brain
vision
stem.
nerves are.
Hmm. Hmm.
Exactly. So your vision nerves, and very layman language, your vision nerves, all of that is back here. When this is stable, when you're grounded, when your body is relaxed, your eyes are relaxed. Okay. When you're stressed out, your eyes experience what they call an ocular lock. And just for you to understand what I'm saying is, when you're stressed out, Vandita, there'll be something sitting in front of you and you wouldn't have noticed it. Or you're not able to read properly because during exams, especially, because children are stressed out. So their eyes, their vision literally gets restricted. But with special needs children, their eyes, they have, more needs. Their challenges are a lot more than just, what it is. We can go back to teaming ourselves. We can go back to calming ourselves, but they struggle with that. They don't know how to do that. So before we start looking at, oh my God, let's work on speech, let's work on academics, let's work on writing,
Yeah.
get the child to experience their body, to understand how to control their body, how to move their fingers, how to move their eyes in a controlled, integrated. When I say integrated, it's right and left teaming together. My right hand, if it's doing something, my left hand is supporting it.
Hmm.
If you're not working on any of this, everything else is an absolute waste of time. And I can say this so confidently. It's an absolute
Okay.
waste of time. Yeah.
Actually, you went deeper on this. Can you share a little bit more about body movement, body balance, and brain gym? Maybe with a success story, because I don't think, like you rightly said, not many parents focus on body balance, body movement first. They just rush for speech. So just take a step back
Yeah.
and tell me, how does body balance, body movement through brain gym
Mm.
help a child improve his autistic behavior, with any
Okay.
success story that you have?
Oh, sure. I was briefly placed in Lahore for about 10 months. I ran my own center. It was a very short time that I was doing that. I had a girl with GDD as one of my students. That's global development delay. And her challenges were, Vandita, she would, like, she'd have a pen and a paper sitting in front of her, or even a toy that she can, use or move around. She would just sit and stare at it till
Mm.
Okay. So I was based in Lahore for about a year and I ran my own setup for about 10 months. I had a girl with GDD, that's global development delay. And her challenges were such that I had never worked with an individual with GDD. So it was a learning experience for me. But I was like, okay, Brain Gym should be able to help her as well. Every morning we did brain gym. We did 4 or 5 movements and we put on some songs. We also did some breathing exercises together. And the idea was, even, you notice a lot of people can't breathe properly, right? That's another realization. So even if she couldn't breathe properly, we were just like, okay, let's just share the energy we have with each other and slow down so that we can start the morning in a calm manner. So we're not hyper. And about 4 months into that, I clearly remember 4 months into that, her mom came. Oh, yeah, let me tell you the challenge she had. Her challenge was that any task given to her, even if she could do it, she had the motor skills for it, she couldn't initiate that task. So someone would have to put their hand over her hand and, make her open the door. She would stand in front of the door, in front of a closed door, and wait for someone to open it for her. Those were her challenges.
Yeah. Yeah.
4 months into doing Brain Gym, her mom comes to me and she's like, you know what? I was at the gym and my daughter, who has GDD, she has two more sisters, younger sisters. They were in the playroom. I was gymming in the other room. I came back and I see this Lego tower built, a pretty big tower built. And they're like, oh, that is so sweet. I was telling my other girls, it's so sweet of you all to help her build this tower. And they're like, we didn't do any of this. We were doing our own thing. And she was like obviously shocked, right? This girl who stands in front of a
Yeah.
closed door can't do
Yeah.
that, and she's making a tower. And she called me up. She came to me the next day, and she's like, Farah, this is what she's doing. Like 4 months into Ranger. And so when people say, okay, do these movements, and you actually see those movements, and you're like, I don't think anything's going to happen. We're so used to giving a pill to
Yeah.
treat a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something simple as integrated movement can have such a profound impact on the
That's
brain.
amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
tell me a little bit, and this is maybe off topic, but why why is such a case that somebody with GDD would know the motor skills but not want to do it?
No, it's not about not want to do it. They just don't have that um and that's an interesting thing, something worth probably reading more about. I sometimes experience is that I know I have to deliver something or like a project or an assignment in about a couple of days. And I plan myself out. I tell myself, okay, every day I'm going to do, a bit of this task so that it's not overwhelming for me at the last moment. But I find myself still waiting for the last day to
Yeah.
finish and cramp in.
Mm.
My problem, my is just for us, it's willpower and all those other things. But I think for children, for special needs children, task initiation is really, really a
Okay.
challenge, which we
Okay.
underestimate. We just think they're being lazy. And thank you for
That's
bringing
very
that
interesting.
up.
Hmm.
Thank you for bringing that up. I think parents should know that I personally believe from my experience, Vandita, that if a child could, he would. There is he needs the
Something.
support. It's not happening.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
that is
Hmm.
something then they need to be trained for again, rather than looking at academics. And a very interesting thought just came to my mind. I've seen this in one of my from in the Brain Gym community presentation, which really struck a chord with me. And I use that now when I'm working and coaching with parents. I want your, special needs parents to look at their child as a house. Okay. The bottom, the base, the foundation are all their senses. Okay. Your oral, motor, eyes, your auditory, that's your base. As you move up, it's all your muscular, spatial awareness, your awareness of your body, up, down, all of that, proprioceptive, vestibular. And as you keep moving up, then it's vision, sorry, it's spatial awareness again, moving up, up, up. And the roof of the house is the academics. And that's where we
Okay.
start.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
start with the roof
Hmm. Hmm.
rather than
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
foundation. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's very interesting because my next question was about that lot of parents that come in our contact at Ayurved, mostly those who have just had a child diagnosed, maybe at the age of 3, 4, 5. The
Mhm.
first thing mostly that they say is, can you fix my child in 2 months so that he can go to mainstream school because the admissions are on? And
Yeah.
I think I will put this description that you just gave there
Yeah.
that um, I think you're right. We just start from the top, whereas maybe finding balance, body awareness comes first. Yeah.
And all the body balance that you were talking about, Vandita, all of that comes in old times. Kids used to be able to go out and play, balance on beam bars, and just move freely and experience their environment. Today, we have, I mean, for safety reasons, and there will be many reasons, right? Children don't go out as much. They're sitting in
Yeah.
front of a screen where their eyes, like even when you and I are talking now, we're just looking at a screen, right? And
Yeah.
take you back to one of the movements that parents can, even you can do this after you switch off with from this podcast,
Hmm.
is to track your eyes doing the lazy 8. So that's like
Mm.
moving your eyes in this direction. So your eyes have to move up, sideways, down, up, cross the midline, and then go this way. By this, you are waking up both sides of your hemispheres because your right
Yeah,
controls your left and your left controls your right.
yeah,
So you're opening up both sides, and that's when you realize when you start moving your eyes, like, oh my God, my eyes feel tight.
yeah,
It just shows how
yeah.
restricted your movements are. And that's the same with kids. They don't have all that body balance and movement
No.
in place
Mm.
to become ready learners. So 2 months, when you have parents like that coming up and saying, I was one of those parents, so I'm not judging anyone.
No.
You have
Yeah.
parents coming in and saying that in 2 months or 6 months, my child has to be ready for school. Just imagine the amount of stress on the child who's already nowhere
Stressed.
close to his
Yeah,
peers,
yeah,
going into a system which already identifies that, you're not the same as your peers. It's not like they're going to be fixed. That doesn't happen in 6 months.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so it's just too much stress on the parents and on the child, I feel.
True, true, true.
Yeah.
Any absolutely best two strategies that you think parents can use as soon as they see an emotional outburst in their child?
Two strategies that they can use. First of all, be in control of their own actions, of how they are seeing that meltdown. Parents instantly say, and I'm saying this from my own experience, from what I have done, I would freak out. I would like get really nervous. Oh my God, there's a meltdown. People are looking. People are going to judge me as to what kind of parent I am. And I would just, try to control the situation. And my child can see it. He has no control over his
Mm.
meltdown, but I do over my own, how I'm taking this, how I'm internalizing this. So I think the best thing they can do is what I do now is when I see, because Suleiman still sometimes has his moments, I try to regulate my heartbeat
Okay.
because you'll notice that when you're stressed out, your heart just starts going, right?
Mm.
It becomes incoherent. The beating pattern becomes incoherent,
Mm.
and that affects everything else, the release of chemicals, everything. It impacts everything. So first thing I try to do is I try to slow that down. And now I've become much better with practice. I slow that down and I just instead of telling my child to stop it, I validate his feelings. And I'm like, this is tough. This is tough. This is really tough. I understand. Yeah, this is
Okay.
not, just experience that moment, that difficulty with him rather than
Mm.
telling him to stop it because
Yeah,
they can't. They don't know how to do
understood.
that.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any, so this is one strategy that the parent applies on themselves.
Yeah.
Anything that they can do to help regulate or reduce anxiety of the child?
One thing that I have done, which I have had some success with, is when a child feels nervous, they're sitting for a paper or they're getting ready for something, or with Suleiman, if he finds, his worksheets challenging, he'll start rocking
Rocking.
aggressively.
Mm.
And I'm all about the spine. I just told you that, right? So I would just place my hand on his back. Literally, that's it. Just place my hand at his back. It just calms him down. It grounds him.
Oh,
Yes, he
amazing.
becomes, because wherever your attention goes, energy flows there. So if I place my hand here, if anyone places their hand here and just slows down, close their eyes, all their energy will, accumulate over here and it'll make them calm down. Similarly, for a child, if you want to ground them, I would just place my hand at his back, the
Lower
base of
back?
lower back, or even up here, like mid back as well. I've done both. And I instantly see him becoming aware of his back. So instead of rocking, he just he
Sit
just
straight.
stopped. Yeah,
So
he
do you
straight up.
place it or do you rub it?
You can do both.
Okay.
And there's no one size fits all, right? Every child
Yeah.
is different. Some children might really like a strong rub.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
children might like a rub here. Some children
Mm.
might like ear massage.
Mm.
So, that's something for a parent to figure out.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. This is very, very interesting, I think. Actually, tell me something, Farah. From your own experience, how was your son and how has he grown into, he's going to be an adult in a year now. So how has he grown into what he is today? From your own personal experience, Tell me the best decision that you have taken for your son for him to be where he is today.
Pulling him out of mainstream. Mainstream.
Mm,
That was the best thing I did for him.
mm,
Because, and that was not easy, Vandita. That was a very painful realization at
mm,
first. And now I say it was liberating, not painful anymore. But at the time, it was very painful
yeah,
because I felt that everybody's child goes to a mainstream school, and I'll
yeah,
just by putting him in school or not even trying to put him in school, I'm going to
yeah,
be. And that's like, another topic altogether, a
yeah,
conversation another time, where it's the mother's own, societal pressure, which makes her feel that my child has to be there. And for some moms, they just don't know how they would do it any other way. If my child
yeah,
doesn't go to school, where else is he going to get education from? And I really want
yeah,
to ask them to think about that. Education is not something that happens just in school. It can be anywhere you want it to be.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, just very quickly, we moved to Malaysia for about 6 years. And if I tell you that it's not like my husband got a job posting or an offer, we just literally decided to, okay, we've made this decision to homeschool. So that means we don't have to be sitting in Dubai. We can go anywhere. We moved to Malaysia. Oh my God, it was absolutely amazing experience because we did beach schooling, we did forest schooling, we were part of the homeschooling community over there, and every week we were exploring a new place.
yeah,
And now when I look back at those videos and pictures, I see such a different Suleiman enjoying being in the wilderness, being at the
yeah,
beach, exploring, creatures, like, looking at their eggs and all of that.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't think he would experience that sitting in a classroom, or
No,
any
not at
child would
all.
experience
Mm,
that in a
mm, mm,
classroom.
mm, mm,
And now we're
mm.
back in Dubai. I have seen him to become very close to the family now. And I
Okay,
don't think I would have achieved this if he was going to a school, because he would have this fixed routine that he's coming home at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then he's got therapy, and then he's got homework. Now he's just connected to the family. Anything that the
nice,
family is doing, he will come and want to be a part of it. And I love
amazing,
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love the story. Anything, Farah, before we end, what do you think mostly that you interact with a lot of parents and not judging them, but what do you think mostly parents do wrong initially that you would want to say that don't do it?
Mm. I would say try not to, that's it's a metaphor when you try to fit a square peg into a round mold. There is, even for something as simple as making biryani, there are 20 different, 100 ways of making biryani. Why do we think that there's only one way to get education or one way to live life? You can create your own reality. It doesn't have to be like what XYZ's reality is. You can make your own, and you can have a fabulous time doing that. So I would say look into what you as a family can do to support each other, because that's important. You to your husband, to your other children, that's important, not what somebody else thinks of your child. Give them the attention, the love that they need from their mother or from a wife, because a husband and a wife's relationship is also crucial to having a stable family. Focus on the family first before you start fixing your child, because I can't stress enough how many moms I coach, and the bottom line at the end of every call, Vandita, it's always about their other relations, which is
Mm,
not, which they're projecting onto a non-verbal child. And that's painful to
yeah,
see.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's very powerful. That's true. There is so much that they think they're answerable to, or answerable to so many of them around them, whether it's society or family, in-laws, parents, friends,
Yeah.
neighbors. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very true. Okay, Farah, I think this has been very lovely. Some very, very unique content that I'm sure people will get to see in this. So thank you for this. And I'm sure that, like you said, you have so much of experience, whether it comes to siblings, whether it comes to raising an almost adult now, brain gym, outdoor experiences, non-mainstream homeschooling. I think we should do this again A lot
Okay,
of families would love to learn so much from you. So let's just do it on the app, maybe one of the weeks in the coming month, and we should
definitely.
definitely do that. Yeah.
Definitely. I had a great time with Nita. Thank you once again so much for this opportunity and for
Thank you.
letting
Thank you.
the typical truth that I think mothers should hear it. And I'm sorry if I've offended anyone, but I really think that these are some things that parents should hear.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.